Destiny here from Atrium. I have Allie Greenstone, which is the National Educator for Mary's Medicinals, and we're here to have a lovely chat. So, Allie, I'm going to let you start it off. Please let everyone know what you do for Mary's.
Thank you so much for having me, Destiny and the Atrium team. My name is Allie Greenstone. I have been in the regulated cannabis space for 12 years, eight and a half of those working for Mary's Medicinals. So I, as our national educator, really am focused on bud tender education, retailer education, but ultimately consumer education, you know, with Mary's being a much more wellness-oriented brand focusing on unique delivery methods and unique minor cannabinoids. The education is very much needed. So I get to work with our teams nationwide, helping to create digestible, impactful information and education.
Amazing. And I think I'm interested in hearing it, I'm sure other bud tenders or consumers who use Mary's would love this too, but if you could give us a breakdown of like the backstory and like the origin of Mary's Medicinals.
Yeah, so Mary's actually, we are just about to come up on our 10th anniversary as a brand. So we started back in Colorado in 2013, and we were born in the era of Charlotte's Web. So not Charlotte's Web, the book or the movie, but the strange Charlotte's Web that was named after the little girl, Charlotte. And so this piece of history is so impactful, not just for Mary's, but for really cannabis and cannabis wellness in general. For those of you that may not know the story about Charlotte, she unfortunately is no longer with us, but she was an incredible little girl that had an intractable form of epilepsy called Dravet syndrome. And pharmaceuticals really were not helping Charlotte, and she was seizing all the time, grand mal seizures multiple times a day. It was impacting her development. It was impacting her learning. And so there was, a little bit of kind of like anecdotal research out there about high CBD strains working really well for Charlotte's condition and other, epileptic conditions similar. So she tried it, and there's this group of incredible brothers in Colorado called the Stanleys, and they actually are the folks that grew the strain for Charlotte, a high CBD ratio strain that worked really, really well for her. So they actually named the strain after Charlotte, called Charlotte's Web. And Dr. Sanjay Gupta then a few months later did this huge expose about CBD and Charlotte on CNN, which really was the catalyst for the entire CBD movement globally. Really just kind of this enlightening, if you will, that there's more to cannabis than just THC. There are so many other elements to the plant. In fact, some that can help young children like Charlotte live, a much more normal, peaceful life. And so it really was a game changer. And so how Mary's was born is that we really wanted to create products for people like Charlotte that needed and relied on cannabis as a regimen. Because at that time, and really still currently, there are not a lot of products out there that are designed for people that use cannabis on a regular daily basis. The first products we ever made were our transdermal patches, which are an 8 to 12 hour, even slow time release dose of cannabinoids into the bloodstream, so that people like Charlotte were able to get that therapeutic ingestion of cannabinoid therapy and not have to keep remedicating, not having to worry about the peaks and valleys like you have with an edible product, having a relatively quick onset, like the patches in many of our other products. And so that's how we came to be.
That's awesome. And I mean, I didn't even know about that. And that's going to change my bud tenders mindset about everything. I mean, they love Mary's as it is. I use it myself. I have a couple of our staff that use like the patches and the transdermal compound as well. And we love it. That's awesome.
I love it too. As you can probably guess, we've been with the company for 8.5 years. I do use quite a few Mary's products and love
For
them.
sure, for
so I'm
sure.
glad that you and your team enjoy them too.
Yeah, we love it. And our customers too. We get customers who come in, and we have customers who come in and get like 12 to 20 patches at a time just so they're stocked up.
And you know what I think is also so cool? I would say probably in my stint with Mary's, I've had probably, I would say over 100 bud tenders at this point tell me, you know, I gave my mom or my dad or my grandmother or my grandfather the transdermal compound as their first ever cannabis product, and they're converts now. Like, they tried a product that was familiar, like a familiar delivery method, like a balm. It worked really well for them. Yeah. And now they're using cannabis. It's amazing. So
yeah, the cannabis industry, it's a huge market. What would you say sets Mary's apart from other brands in your category?
So that's such a good point, because I do think that without the education, Mary's does look like or appear like most other wellness brands, most other tincture topical brands out there. But we really put a lot of intention and thought behind Mary's, and really where I think we make the most difference is that we factor a lot of science into our products, and we focus on what's called bioavailability, which in a nutshell, bioavailability measures how much cannabis from different products actually make it into your body. And so we focus on products that have higher bioavailability or better cannabis absorption, so that you can actually use less dosage from a Mary's product than you can from other brands and other types of products. So that really is like a huge, huge impactful differentiator of Mary's. And something else also, just really like reliability, accurate dosing, consistency. Mary's was the first ever and still one of the only brands that actually does in-house lab testing. So on top of the third party, mandated state lab testing at every single one of Mary's and Dixie facilities, we actually have UHPLC lab equipment. So we're actually testing at 3 different stages. Every single product, every single batch has been triple tested at Mary's in addition to the third party testing. So you can rely on our products for consistent dosing, accurate every time. There's not going to be a variable of effect from, a CBN patch that somebody bought 2 months ago from a new batch that they're going to get in 6 months from now. So that's a huge thing as well.
Is there a time frame of how long that takes, like to go through kind of product development, then like creating it, testing it? Is there a time frame for that? Or
a large company, and with that, we have an incredible amount of talented people. And so, when we are doing new product development, and we actually have a bunch of new products launching here in the next couple of months, but I mean, from the ideation stage to the market analysis and research phase to actual, the science team putting together different formulations, testing it internally with the team, branding. I mean, gosh, I don't think less than 12 months for a product to come from idea to consumer. And yeah, I think that's a conservative estimate.
When it comes to other products that you have, is there a strategy in terms of how you pick like the specific strain or the formulation?
Well, so we don't do anything strain specific at Mary's, but something that we've always done ever since we first launched products into the market in Colorado, is we've had terpenes in most of our products. And so we do use specific terpene blends based on whatever cannabinoid profile. So for example, the 1-to-1 patch from Mary has a different cannabinoid profile than the indica or the THCA patch. And those terpene blends are designed to really kind of amplify and balance the cannabinoid that's being featured as well. So that's something that we've always done. And that was always a huge, huge factor for us. And I think it's awesome. Like, I always joke that Mary's has been on the terpene train since 2013. And it's like just now consumers like even know what that is. And like back then when we launched products, like budtenders and retailers, like we're just kind of figuring out what terpenes were. And now it's like we all know how important they are, even more so than cannabinoids and potency sometimes, most times. So I just think it's such an awesome thing that we we can say that we've always done to really kind of like make the most out of what we put into our products.
Like you said, more people are starting to get to know about specific terpenes more and more. But I remember when I started like 3.5 years ago, a lot of customers would come in and some bud tenders would bring up terpenes and they'd be like, what are you talking about? And then now, fast forward, they're all like, oh, I need this product with this specific terpene, or I need something that's going to kind of basically match whatever they feel is where they're going to get the best effect, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I think a really good analogy that I love is that like the cannabinoids are kind of like putting your foot on the accelerator in a car. You know, they'll move, like THC will move you forward regardless, but the terpenes really determine the direction that you're going to drive or go.
Love that analogy, but like, that's a great analogy.
Got so many more.
Does Mary's partner with anybody outside of the cannabis industry, or is Mary's involved in like with any organizations or anything like that?
So we support Last Prisoner Project. We do source from them for certain parts of our different products and different brands. I love that organization so much. And we also work with Leaf 411, which is such a phenomenal resource. So Leaf 411 is they are an organization of nurses, like actual RNs, NPs, that are fully trained on cannabis, as well as multiple product lines, including Mary's, but mostly like in the wellness arena. And they operate like a call service. And so, we actually have like a coupon code for first time users, but we work regularly with Leaf 411, zoom them into our senior events. We're constantly doing updated training for them so that they're up to par on product knowledge. They work directly with customers. So, you know, especially for the older folks that maybe have like pharmaceuticals that they're on, that their regular physician like isn't educated enough to know like if that's safe to use with cannabis, or like, you know, even what type of cannabis to recommend or at all. So it's such a phenomenal relationship that we have with Leaf 411.
That is super cool. So anybody can call?
Anybody.
That's awesome. What would you say to a person coming in, about to buy Mary's, and is gonna jump into this cannabis world for the first time?
Start, because like just the nature of a tincture is very easy to microdose or titrate up if you want. So it's a great recommendation for sure.
Yeah. And you had mentioned you love, you obviously love using Mary's products. What products do you use specifically, and for what?
I have used our CBD and CBN capsules on a daily basis for, gosh, I don't know, 7.5 years or something. You know, I do struggle with mental health issues. I struggle with depression. I also struggle with endometriosis. So for me, I've just found that this regular regimen of CBD and CBN has helped me immensely. It helps me with mood stabilization. It helps me with just like my overall pain level, because endometriosis can kind of flare up at like any time. But so I have found that just generally, like I experience way less flare up, just way more stability. And I've also found that the cannabinoid regimen, is really helpful for my skin. It makes my skin super soft and clear, which is awesome. And I also use our formula sublingual. I've been using that since it came out, like almost 2.5 years ago. And I really love that one for also my mental health. It helps me focus, helps me concentrate, gives me a nice boost of like energy and motivation. But you know, really like I understand the preventative benefit of cannabis. And so for me, I use it like a vitamin. You know, I take it with my vitamins. In fact, you know, even if like I've been feeling good for a long time, like I know how important it is and how imperative it is, as a mammal, that we, you know, need these, that we, you know, we're intended to receive these types of compounds from the earth. And so I, you know, and I also understand that there's plenty of diseases that actually comes from a cannabinoid imbalance in our body. So, you know, the ECS is literally connected to almost every single disease state in mammals, which is like insane to think about. You know, I feel it'll affect everything: appetite, memory, mood, fertility, like everything. So that's really my main.
Thank you for highlighting that, especially like with the stuff that, like you said, like, that you deal with, like mental health, the endometriosis stuff. Because I feel like people come in and they just think, oh, it's only for pain.
Yeah. You know, I mean, we really are that kind of brand. And I think that we've really been able to, you know, kind of like have this rapid success because our products work for people. And other states, you know, that didn't have Mary's, they know about Mary's, and they, you know, their friend or their family member used Mary's and finally got relief. And, you know, people have like reached out to us and they're like, please, like produce your products in our state, because they work.
What is there any other new things going on with Mary's in the foreseeable future other than new products?
Yeah, we're doing a whole brand refresh. So things are going to look completely different here in the next couple months. No big deal. Yeah, it's really exciting. So we're actually incorporating some color into our products, and just we're building more education into our products as well, into the packaging itself, which I, of course, am stoked on.
With me, I learned a lot. Hopefully everybody who watches this is going to learn a lot more too, and try Mary's Medicinals products if they haven't, or obviously continue to buy the new products and stuff like that. Is there anything you want to add on or say to our customers or bud tenders?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, thank you so much, Destiny and the Atrium team for taking the time to learn about Mary's. You know, and I guess like my one word of advice to customers and bud tenders out there is, you know, Mary's really is the product line that is designed with patients and with customers in mind, for those that are using cannabis on a regular basis. So if you are one of those folks, or are considering, you know, implementing cannabis on a regimen basis, there's no brand like Mary's out there. And yeah, you can definitely follow us on socials. We're on Instagram as Marys_medicinals. You can find our website at marysmedicinals.com. And like we mentioned earlier, you can reach out to Leaf 411, which I believe is leaf411.org. But if you just Google it, you should be able to find it. And I can hook you all up with a first free call with Leaf 411 using the code Marys, capital M, capital N. So that should get you a free first call. So if you have any further information, really in more of like the medical realm that bud tenders aren't able to compliantly provide you, Leaf 411 are your girls.
Thank you again. Really appreciate you. Excited to see the new products coming out. And it was a pleasure.
Thanks, Destiny.
Yeah, no problem.